Gwent? Gwent. What? Yeah, Gwent. 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 Ah, Gwent. Sure. I like Gwent. Even more than Hearthstone.
You're very welcome.
If you remember, during the wild popularity of Gwent in the third Witcher, CD Projekt Red announced the separate release of their card game as an independent project with multiplayer. Its beta test did not go well, the studio apologized many times, and in conclusion, CDPR promised us a full rework of the Gwent. And at the same time, released a full-fledged story game based on the mechanics of the new Gwent. After all, Gwent was indeed remade, but the studio did not manage to make it profitable, which is why CD Projekt Red put their game into a coma literally a year ago, stopping its development. But we've managed to get the story game mentioned before, Thronebreaker, The Witcher story. And I wouldn't be surprised if you never heard of it, or you've simply forgotten about it amid other releases. Thronebreaker was released on October 23rd of 2018, only on PC, exclusively in the GOG store, and just 3 days before the release of Red Dead Redemption 2. What a pity suicide. Just think of it, CD Projekt Red, with their own hands, throw their own game under the train, which is called RDR2, before shooting its legs with unnecessary and completely idiotic exclusivity. I can't even imagine such epic self-destruction. But thanks God, over time they thought of releasing the game on all modern platforms. And today, you can play Thronebreaker on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, Steam Deck, phones and tablets, and if you're the Mac user, you may suck ass. And of course, the game did not live up to CD Projekt Red's financial expectation, and is still considered as a failure. Financial failure. When both press and player reviews were very positive. So let me tell you what thousands of people have found in one of the most underrated games of the last few years. In terms of gameplay, it is slightly modified Gwent from the third Witcher. On the first glance, it may look completely different, for example now each player has 2 lines on the field instead of 3, but the skeleton of the game here is the same as in the famous RPG. By collecting and combining the available cards in the right sequence, strengthening your squads and weakening your enemy, gain the advantage in points and win 2 rounds. I do not consider it necessary to tell you more about the local rules. Because if only this short description made your eyes light up and you already ran to the store, you don't need that. Because the game itself will explain its own rules better than anyone else. And for those who was not impressed, I will say simply, I didn't like Gwent in the third Witcher, and after a couple of games, I abandoned it forever. However, after starting Thronebreaker, the updated version of the card game drew me in so much that after game, I went online. Spent God knows how much time, played who knows how many matches, but definitely enjoyed the new Gwent.
Красиво, а?
Красиво. Куда он пошел?
Красиво?
Мальчик банана.
Красиво!
Ё-моё!
Красиво!
So don't give up on the game early, okay? Or I will fight. Try it first, you might like it, who knows. The game is often on sale and costs only a couple of bucks. Especially since Thronebreaker is Gwent only on half. The thing is, on the other half, Thronebreaker is a book, or even audiobook, which is more likely to be called the visual novel. And no, this game is not about schoolboys saving the world, and it's not a botanic simulator. You will have to read quite a lot in this game. Although, most of the text here is voiced by professional actors. And wrapping up the book arc of this video, and jumping ahead a bit, Thronebreaker is one of the best interactive books on the gaming market, which in some parts may even remind you of the all-known Disco Elysium. It also has its own narrator, who sometimes wisely comments the story that is happening before our eyes. A story that has practically become a legend. The story of the Blood War. About how the desperate Maeve, Queen of Lyria and Rivia, managed to unite the northern kingdoms against the Nilfgaard invasion. A story about the most terrible betrayal and responsibility for the most difficult decisions on the soul of one woman.
I know what you wish to hear,
The Queen began.
that the gods watch over us, that we'll come through the fray unharmed, that a friendly force is but moments away. Those would be lies. The truth is as bitter as it is undeniable. We stand cornered, cannot win this fight, cannot flee it. We can but choose how to die. Hanged from the boughs like common criminals, or weapons in hand like the fighters we are. I've made my choice. Time you made yours!
With that cry, Maeve broke for the bridge toward a forest of spears into a deluge of arrows.
She let the tears fall from her eyes. Tears of rage, fear, fatigue. It was not until she'd almost reached the enemy line that she dared glance backward, and she saw she was not alone.
You should finish the story of Thronebreaker at least in order to ride through this 30-hour journey with Meave, full of difficult choices and unforgettable stories. And you won't believe it, but I know the guy who knows another guy who knows people who didn't like The Witcher 3 gameplay. Such people adore linear games, and they simply don't like open worlds.
Dial 911. Tell the police to get up here quick. Somebody's about to get killed.
And I understand them. Though, I don't know a single person who doesn't like the story and dialogues in CD Projekt Red games. They have really talented writers, and their stories can cause both sincere laughter and real tears. But you know that even without me. During the game, you have to make decisions, the consequences of which can affect the life of entire country, city, village, or just one living soul. You constantly have to decide what are you willing to sacrifice for the sake of your homeland, and every time the price becomes more and more terrible. You often have to wonder if your actions will lead to even worse outcome. Have you not been too cruel? And will not others take advantage of your mercy? Here you enter with your army to a small village, where you find a small tragedy. The people are going to hang the elf, because he is supposedly a Nilfgaardian spy. Poor bastard throws himself at your feet, begs to save him, and you take pity on him and take him into your army. After some time, you're informed that some of your provisions have been poisoned, causing the death of several of your loyal subjects. In the end, the soldiers caught the same elf red-handed, and he, looking into your eyes, confessed in everything, and said that he did not regret anything. Temerians, Nilfgaardians, Lyrians, all people are the same to him, and they deserve only death. And who is left here as a fool? Maybe you should have allowed the lynching of the elf, but who knew that everything would happen like this? And this is only one of dozens of stories, the conclusion of which will lie on your shoulders. And most often, it will be in the best traditions of The Witcher, tragic and bloody. And the wonderful music by Marcin Przybylowicz and P.T. Adamczyk contributes to an additional immersion in this universe, which turns the sound of pagan rites into an epic soundtrack for endless battlefields and expands your playlist by dozens of minutes. Making your way through the meadows of Lyria, the forests of Aedirn, the mountains of Mahakam, the swamps of Angren, and the steppes of Rivia in isometric perspective with the spirit of classic RPGs from 90s, you will have to collect your own army and commanders who will help you on your way in a variety of ways. With WoM, you can always talk in the field kitchen, and WoM, you can lose at any moment due to rash decisions. Meave, and you as a player, have to constantly make out compromises with yourself, regularly choosing the best option between two terrible wines, which can also have unpredictable consequences. Probably, this is why everyone fell in love with the universe of Witcher, for the fact that the world with elves, dwarves, magicians, drowners and other creatures lives by the same rules as our reality. And Thronebreaker perfectly proves that the world of the Witcher can exist without Witcher himself. Or almost does it.
Mother, I won't ever betray you.
I know, my son. I know.